Now, in the last class, we've seen how do we consume HANA models in BW. But when I say HANA models, it's not from any HANA system, only from the underlying HANA database. Say, I've got BW sitting on top of HANA. Let's say in the underlying HANA database, I've got HANA views. Then in the last class, we discussed how do I consume the HANA models in the underlying HANA database in the BW system, which is at the top. But that is not complete, but we just see two options. One is using the transient provider and one is using the virtual queue. Yeah? Those are old ones. We'll continue that later in the next topics. Now today we're looking at how do I consume BW objects in HANA. Let's say I've got BW sitting on top of HANA. Then how do I import the BW info providers like InfoCube or DSO into my HANA database, in the underlying HANA database only. Now first what I'm showing is importing it manually, which is in 7.3. If it is BW 7.3, we had to manually import those cubes or DSOs. Then I'll show you the option in 7.4. We don't have to manually import. Then we'll discuss on that. But we'll see in both the cases. If you're working on BW 7.3, you'll have to explicitly import those BW models into HANA bus. In 7.4, you don't have to explicitly import. There's a different option of doing it. We'll discuss on that. Now assume we are in BW 7.3. And if you want to use an InfoCube or DSO or InfoBit or text query into HANA, how do we import them here? And this had some limitations, so SAP came out with another option in 7.4. We'll see that. First, let's see how do we do this. Now in HANA, in the underlying HANA database, I would like to create one package and import the cubes into this package. Imported, BW imported. So within my 9cubex PK, I've just created a sub package where there are no views at all. I would like to import those cubes into this. Say I have a cube here without any master data objects, just cube 1. Okay, there is a cube 1 with some characteristics order and some customer and some key figure as counter. That's it, nothing else. This is my cube, yeah, only 3 info objects I've got. And I've not enabled any navigation attribute, nothing is done yet. I would like to import this cube here. Let's see how does it come. File, import, it's a SAP HANA content, SAP NetViewer BW models. And now you'll have to give all the connection details of your BW server. It is BW74 SP8. Instance number is 10. Client number is 001 when I log in. Username. Just you given what you'd use it for logging into BW system. Say test connection was fine. Next, select your HANA system. This is my cube, right? So I would like to import this into cubex BW. No, I would like to import this into cubex, this one, BW import package. Okay. One second. Okay. Now just select the queue what you would like to input, choose the package. Then if you already imported it, if you want to override the existing objects, you can use this option to override. The connection is lost, I'm trying. No. Normal cubes also. But when you have BW on HANA, you will not have normal cube, but it will be a HANA optimized cube, right? There seems to be a connection problem. Okay. We select the cube and select the package to be imported. If you already imported and if you want to overwrite, you can use this option of override the existing objects. And then there's an option called include display attribute. Say, I'm importing this cube which has got S customer. S customer might have a lot of attributes with the master data. So do you want to include even the master data tables into the view? Yeah. Then we'll see the next option here. So I'll just say finish now for now. I've done without master database, no display attributes here. It's saying import is going on. Yeah, once it is imported, when you import the cube, first it creates one analytical view with the cube name underscore internal, and it creates one calculation view. This calculation method, it is using this analytical view net. Now let's open this analytical view and see what tables are used. If you remember, it has got two characteristics. One is order and customer, and there is a key figure. Now let's see this. See, /BAC/F, this is your fact table. Since it is unoptimized key, we'll have data packet dimension key and SID of order, SID of customer, and counter. SID of order is connected to the SID table of order, and SID table of customer is connected to SID table of customer. From the SIDs, you get the order and you get the customer from here, and the key figure is from the fact table. Straightforward. Yeah. And now this analytical view will be used into your calculation view. If you see the calculation view, you have a projection of that analytical view with these columns and the aggregation of the key figure. Okay, just execute this. You can see the data. So what are the data we see in the cube? The same data can be viewed in the calculation views. Yeah. The simple one without master database. Next, I would like to go import this queue. It's got order, customer, key figure, but no navigation attributes. But this customer has got some master data attributes in it. I would like to import even this master data tables also into my HANA database, into my view. Select this. And it's a file, import, network BW models. Instead of creating connection always, I can use a connection which I already created. Choose a queue, let's add. I'm okay with this package to be imported. If it is already there, overwrite. I would like to include even the master data to be imported. I've enabled the checkbox, include display attributes also. And now the checkbox here, generate info provided based analytical privilege. For example, in BW, if you have created analysis authorizations on this queue, and when this is selected, it will import that as an analytical privilege automatically. Okay. So I get an analytical view again, internal. Now if you see this table, it would have brought in, you'll have the schema or tables used along with the master data tables also. Again, you see the F table with data packet dimension key connected to what? The data packet dimension table, that's all. And SID of order is connected to SID of the order table to get the order, but this does not have any master, so there is no subsequent tables. And SID of the customer is connected to the SID table of the customer, and from there it is joined to the SID. From there it picks the customer, and from the customer it joins it to the P table /BAC/P. This is your master data table of customer. And if there are any of the attributes holding the text, it brings in the subtext tables of those. Yeah. And this can also give you the data. But now this will start giving you with the attributes first. Yeah. With the master data. Okay. And this is how you can import a cube with master data or without master data also, by using that option of checkbox, import display attributes. So next option, we can also import the classical DSO, nothing but a normal standard DSO. How do I do that?
Hello?
Yeah.
While importing the HANA view, we are getting defaultly one analytical view and one calculation view, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So in analytical view, measures also there, or what is the?
See, calculation view is not doing anything. It is just doing a projection and aggregation of the key figures. Analytical view will have all. Yeah. Okay.
What are the objects are there in analytical view? Same objects also there in calculation view.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can use anything, analytical view or calc, anything is same. Yeah.
So even though if you import normal cube also, it will create a cube views, analytical view as well as calculation view, right, sir?
Yeah. Now I'm importing a DSO file, import. I choose existing connection. As such for this DSO. So I would like to import the same package. If you want, you can see with the master data. For now, it's okay. So that you will be clear on what it is importing. See now, for a DSO, it only creates analytical view, no calculation view. What tables it has taken? I have not selected anything with master data by default. Look at this. Contract is fine. It is mapped to all the text tables. The main one I want. If you look at this contract, it has taken the P table. Now go into active table, then you'll see. This is my active table of the DSO. The contract field here is joined to the attribute table of contract, and from there to the attribute text tables. And the offer element is joined to the attribute, the text table of offer elements. This never had any attribute or text table, so not joining it. Okay. So this is about importing your DSOs. Next, how do I import my info object? I have an info bit called S contract, which is as I'm switching off the info provider property. Cannot remove. Okay, I cannot do this. Let me do one thing. I'll create info object. Activate. So this is a normal master data object. I have not set this as info provider, right? So when this is not set as info provider, when you import this, it creates an attribute view. So import. Overwrite if there is any. See, it is creating an attribute view. Y9COI. There's nothing in like analytical view. Yeah. Okay. Look at the next case. Let me insert that as info provider. Now we may not find difference. Okay. Now we may not find difference. Okay. This time I'm importing something which is set as info provider, right? But will not see any difference, I think. Best for difference you'll have to. See, it is still importing as attribute view. So can we do reporting on attribute view bus? No, right? But if the master data is set as info provider, we can do reporting. So while in 7.3 when we're importing it manually, it is just creating it as an attribute view only. Okay. This problem is solved in the other case, we'll see. Next one, how do I import the BEX query bus? We can also import the BEX query as a view, okay, as a HANA model.
If you import any object, it will come default as attribute view, or only data objects will come as attribute view?
Yeah, what is it? Yeah.
As of now, we are importing master data object, right? So it is coming as an attribute view. So if we import normal info object, it will come under attribute view or any other view?
No, normal any info object, it is attribute view only.
Okay.
I would like to design some report. So let me just create some simple report on list of sales orders. I have a multi-provider and I'm just creating a query on this multi-provider. Sales order. Then I want customer. I want some counter. Okay, let's see. If I use this, I can't. Okay, let me see. So my query is HANA Q. And I would like to remove the result rows unnecessary. So first I would like to run this and see the output once. So I want to remember the values. So there's a dot rsrt. It is HANA Q XQ. Mm, but I also want to see here because okay. Just remember, just take any of this. See for 2000, okay, for 2012, you see count is nothing but number of orders. There are 3, and what is the value here? 260 pieces. Okay, fine. Now this is my query, and I would like to import this query as a HANA model in BW. Okay. So for doing this, since query is virtual, we need to set this as info provider and build an analytical index which will actually store those indexes, and using that we'll be importing that as a HANA model. So how do we do this? Go to RSDDP T code. Okay. So click on this button, query as info provider. First of all, we need to set this query as info provider. Set this. What is my HANA Q is your query, and click on the button where you're saying go release this query as info provider. Okay. Right. Then once you release this query as info provider, you can start maintaining the indexes. So you have to maintain the HANA index, we call this. Okay. Just click on create. Okay. I'll show you the index. See, now the index info is, it says what is the status here? Blank. So this is going to be, it's going to create a fact table with that indexing. Now let me say activate and fill. I want this to be done immediately. You can see the index status of the index. What see now it says green, and you can see this is the table name which is storing those index data. You can see the data here. Just execute. It is showing about all the in SIDs, but you can see the years wise. Just to show you the value is same or not. Yeah. For 2012, look at this key figure. I don't have the aggregate, but this 240 and 20 is 260, and this 3. Yeah, that's fine. I'll come to that variables and all this. I'll come to. Now this is how my index has been created. Now once we have the indexing done, I can go back to my HANA model. So now this is called as query snapshot or query as info provider. That we are BW models. Cubics. Welcome 1, 2, 3. So what is the query you have basically used? It set it as info provider. It is HANA Q. Search for it, and I want to import this in the same package. Overwrite if there's any. Finish. You see a sub package called query, and we have an analytical view created, HANA cube. If you see, this is not a cube, right? But it still has some fact table. You remember the indexed fact table? Look at this here. /bf HANA q. This is the indexed fact table. From the indexing, it is connecting those SI table to the SI tables, and then you have the key figures. Now try to see the data. You have to see, you can do the analysis here. Year 2012. See 2012, 3, and it is what, 260. Now it's all fine. Now let's say what I've done is, look at this. So you have indexing, it's all fine now. Very, very important point. Now let's say I go to in the BW backend. Let me see, is this full or I will reload some data again for 2012 explicitly. But I'll discuss all those doubts what you typed in. I'll come back. Because let's not deviate from this. This is very important. So actually I'm loading the same set of data again for 2012. I've loaded. Now let's see this report in RSRT. It should almost show me double. Yeah, it was 260. Now it should show 520. See now because I just duplicated the data in 2012 with the full load again. So now the counter says 6 and the sales order quantity is 520. So there is a data refresh in my BWs. Now I would like to see this in HANA. Just close this. Close this. Just refresh. So it is still showing you 260 only. It's not refreshed, right? So if it is a query as info provider, we have this problem of data not being refreshed. So what I have to do? Why it is not refreshed? Because the indexing, the table, the FQ so and so, indexed are not refreshed. So every time I have the new data loaded into the cube, similar to your aggregates roll up or your BW accelerator, I must keep refreshing the indexes for my query. Unless I can go to RS DDB. HANA Q, edit. I can click on save and it will refresh my indexes again. Yeah? But I don't do it manually, but in the real time you do this as part of process chain, right? So how do I create a process chain for this? So I would like this to be run after the data has been loaded into my respective cubes. I want this refreshing of it keep refreshing the HANA indexes for the info provider. Okay. Now when you go to data administration, we have something called initial activation and filling of HANA BI index. Just drop down this. Instead of B index, it will be a HANA indexes. Just say Y or Y HANA Q. Create this variant. You want to build indexes for, look at this, object from HANA index, which object, we'll say query as info provider. Now which query, HANA Q. And this will be scheduled in the background. Activate this chain. Make sure it is set simulate for now. I'm just going to trigger this. So it is successfully done. If the indexes are refreshed successfully, if I go here and if I refresh my view, I should see it as 520 and count is 6. So like this, when you work out with query as info provider or importing query as a HANA model, which is based on the, you enable the query as info provider and build your HANA indexes. And HANA indexes must be refreshed in the project chain in the backend to have the reflected data in the HANA models. Okay. This is what about importing and of InfoCube, DSO, Infobit and Bex query. Now further discussions on this. Now let me see what you have raised. Well, let me first finish up the points what I would like to do. You cannot import multi-provider info set, not possible. It's either a cube or a DSO or a Bex query or Infobit. You will not be able to import a multi-provider or info set or nothing. Say now the question is, let's say I have a requirement to import multi-provider, then what do you do? Then what can I do? Can I solve this like I can create a Bex query on top of this multi-provider and use a Bex query as info provider and then import that as an HANA model? Can we do that way? Yes. Okay. Next point to be discussed is, let's say I have cube A in my BW system. Yeah. Then I import that as a HANA model with name cube A. Okay, assume this was with some 5 characteristics. Key figures 1. Okay. Now once you get the same set, you get 5 attributes and 1 measure here, right? So you import this HANA model. Now question is, if I change this cube in the BW, because of some requirements, I have added a new Infobit in my BW system. Okay. In this case, will it reflect the changes to this cube automatically or not? That's the point. I have created my cube, then I've imported that as my HANA model explicitly. And now after it has been imported as a HANA model, I have modified this cube in the BW system. So will it reflect those changes automatically to the cube, to the HANA model? No. So once the changes are done in this cube, you have to explicitly re-import this cube again to override the changes first. That is one of the limitations. Now see. I've imported this. Let me change this cube. by adding a new info object into it. Yes, product, and then activate. So once the cube is activated, if I go to my HANA models, I go to my analytical view, which is without MD. Just check whether it has reflected those changes or not. Do you see that column? See in the table you will see that the column has been added as product because we are using the underlying table. But in the view, is it been projected as a product? No, right? Because it will show the column in the table because we are literally using the table in the view. Yeah. But you don't have that in the projection. So what I should do? Again, I should say I'll say what file import PW models. Say overwrite. Importing is done. Let's refresh. Now you see the product being projected out now. So like this, you'll have to explicitly re-import that particular providers. That is one point to be noted. One more important point. So this is BW. So this is your BW, and this is the HANA backend. Okay. In BW, this is let's say development environment. Let's say same way you have quality environment also. Let's say the BW you created a queue. And you import that as HANA model. So I created a cube in BW system. I've imported that as an HANA model in my in the HANA database. Okay. Now I would like to transport this to my quality systems. Okay. Now see this view, so when you say transport, when you transport this cube to the quality, it means like almost reactivating this cube, right? When you say transporting the cube from development to quality, it's almost like taking the definition of this cube and you're reactivating this in the quality bus. Once it is reactivated, will it create this view in HANA, in the quality box? Yes or no? Will it create HANA model in the quality HANA box or no?
No.
No, because the underlying HANA model was not created when the queue was activated. This was created when we explicitly imported. So, through normal BW transports, you transport this queue. Through HANA native transports, we'll see that separate as a separate topic. Through HANA native transports, you'll transport this view separately. Through HANA native, you have to transport the cube separately in the BW transports. Through using HANA native transports, you will transport the HANA model from development HANA box to quality HANA box. This is another problem what I have. if I am explicitly importing the objects into the HANA database, I have these problems again. Okay, good. Now let me just see the questions. In case if we delete a field from cube in BW, we do not re-import, the calculation will become inactive as it cannot run without that field. See, in our case, the fields will not be the table field from the table is removed out, so it will not be projected out. Okay, and it will be adjusted after we re-import only. Okay, otherwise it will be inactive. Yes. No. What is about multiple? We cannot import. How? Good. He's saying, if in case of query as info provider, how do you handle the variables? Suppose there is some limitation. Here we go. So when you go query as info provider using with HANA indexes, there is some limitation. Input ready query, the query results cannot be indexed if the query meets any of the following conditions. Input ready query, input ready with mandatory variables used in the query, query contains a temporal hierarchy joins, query containing more than one structures, calculations in the query cannot be performed before aggregations, technical of the query is more than 20 characters long. So there are some limitations here. Okay, fine. Okay, any of this limitation, we cannot use that as an info provider. Okay. Does data get replicated into HANA automatically if we have process chain running for every 2 hours? Which process chain? Yeah, I told about HANA. If it is query indexes, you must keep refreshing the indexes. PPT, I want to do some. Okay. Now, can we import ECC data source into HANA Studio? Remember when I was explaining about data provisioning with BODs, I said we can configure the BODs as import server and import the data sources or tables, which will create the corresponding tables in HANA. Metadata data will not come, only the structures are replicated. You remember? We can use BODs as import server and do that. Can we import only HANA optimized queues or all queues? Okay. The question which came in now. Why DSO does not get calculation view? We should ask SAP. I can't answer. Okay. Actually, even for cube, calculation is not required, but that was given. Yeah. Okay. Now, and you see the limitations with that options of cube importing DSO because of transports. Changes are not reflected automatically, and transports have to be handled separately. So what SAP has done is in 7.4 they have given a new option now to solve this problem of transports and changes not getting reflected. They have given a new option in 7.4 for cube and DSO and info bit. But for query as info provider, we still have to use the same options. For query as info provider RSDDB, we call it as query snapshot. Even in 7.4, it is the same concept. Okay. But for cube DSO, we have a new concept which has solved the problem of refresh and the transports. How is it is, like say, let's say I'm creating a cube. SI something. I cube 99. I'm just saying copy from. While creating this cube, what I would do is in the settings, I have an option now. In 7.4, we have these options. Subtypes, okay. Excel HANA view. No Excel HANA view. Just select this checkbox. Look at the Excel HANA view for reporting. So when I select this checkbox and activate my queue, it automatically creates a view. It activates this cube, and also view is created in my underlying HANA database automatically. So you don't have to import. Now the question is, I go back to HANA and I would like to see a view with this name iCube99, but I don't know in which package it has been created. But when I go to my package 9cubex9 I just want to write refresh and see you don't find that. When I go to imported or whatever, is there any analytical view like iCube19? No, right? So when it is created, automatically it is just choosing some other package. We don't know where it is, but to exactly know to which package it has been publishing the views, you can find it out from the settings here. Now if you can go to SPRO, referencing IMG, just say search HANA. Set, not this one, the first one, settings for generating external SAP HANA views. SAP, SAP. Now when you go into this, in the settings, there is a package which we have set. We can change the package if you want. System local .bw on HANA. If I go back to BW, system local BW to HANA, we'll have an analytical view iCube99. Sorry, this attribute view. Analytical view iCube99. In case of automatically creating, it does not create calculation view, only analytical view. See, iCube99. And if I change this cube, it automatically reflects the changes to this view. Yeah. Same way for DSO, we have that option again. Now if I do changes to the cube, it automatically changes the view because it is basically created on the activation of it. I'm creating classical DSO with normal standard DSO. In the settings, you still see that option. External view, create external view automatically. Automatically creates my HANA model. IZI DSO 99. It is done. IZI DSO 99. So even for master data also, maybe here there's one point to be noted. I just want to show you that. We just create my alphabet normally. Say YI art or something. So I create YI order. Some attribute I'm okay. Look. So I have this info object. I have not set this as info provider. This is like normal master data object here. right? This is like normal master data object. So I go to master data text here. I have to create a corresponding HANA view. Go down. See, now you don't have this checkbox enabled. Now you just have this external HANA view for master database. Now it creates the HANA attribute view automatically. Yeah. YI order. Yeah. You see YI order as attribute view. Yeah. YI order 2. Create template. I just want to add one key figure. So let's say I would like to set this info provider, master data as info provider, and I would like to do reporting on this master database. Generally, if it is attribute view, does not allow you to do reporting, right? Now I'm inserting this master data info provider as info provider. Okay. Now once it has been set as info product, then I'm changing it as. Now you see other checkbox enabled. Because when you insert that as, where is it done? Now you'll have this checkbox, create HANA view for master data info provider. So now it creates analytical view for this master data which allows you to do reporting now. When the master is not info provider, it will enable only this checkbox. If not, it can have both. So enabling this checkbox will create this as an analytical view where you can do report. It says underscore reporting. Analytical view. YI order 2 underscore. Now this is a master. This analytical view is representing master, but enabling you to do reporting on this. And any changes you do, it reflects automatically. Now this will solve the problem of the transports or the changes being reflected automatically. But for BigQuery, you still have to go with the old process of query snapshot, query info provider, indexing, HANA indexing, all those here. Is it possible to uncheck HANA optimized DSO option after it is created? HANA optimized. There's no point unoptimized, right? Is it enabled? Unoptimized DSO అనేది ఉండదు.
Sir, yesterday we converted standard info cube to HANA optimized info cube, right?
చేయలే కదప్ప. I showed how to do, but I've not done. Where is the checkbox unoptimized?
Okay.
Sir, if you're checking this,
No, in
you
info cube.
does it inactivate the underlying transformations? No. Because now I have activated it. So I have this transformations. Now I'm changing this informative property. My transformation is not affected. Let's again I go with change. Master data. Not affected. Okay. Sir, no HANA optimized DSO, but still SAP made some changes in DSO activation. SID generation latest. Yes, yes. They will speed up the process of your DSO activation because of SID coming in, and moreover, it is the activation is with the stored procedure, no more ABAP program. Yeah? So this is what about importing BW objects into HANA bus. Okay. So we'll stop it here, and our next focus will be on Open ODS view. Yeah. We'll see that tomorrow. Okay. Yeah.
Sir?
Yeah.
Sir, one generic question. HANA is like normal databases which we have like SQL and DB2, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. My question is a little generic. So I have a mainframe system. I am using DB2 as my backend. Instead of that, can I use HANA?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hello?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
It can be used.
Yeah. You got my answer? Yes, you can use. HANA is a database, right? Yes.
Yeah, because I heard I read somewhere that it can only consume data from the other way. From mainframe to HANA, but not from HANA to mainframe. Is that wrong?
HANA to mainframe. See, there are two points. What did you ask me? You said you have some mainframe application which is running on DB2 database.
Yes.
Now you wanted to have that mainframe application to be reading data from HANA database. That's all. So in mainframe, you'll create a database connection towards HANA and then start reading from the HANA database. That's it.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
But when it comes to the ETL part,
okay,
that is a different case. You are saying you want to extract data from HANA database and put into DB2. then SLT doesn't support that. In SLT, HANA can only be a target.
Not with BODS also.
With BODS you can do. Yeah, with BODS you can extract from anywhere to anywhere. Yeah, HANA can be used as source or target also. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sir, sir, while importing Q, we are getting two views, right? Analytical view and calculation view. So we can use both views for any purpose, right? Is there no limitation?
No limitation. No limitation. Yes, they made a changes because instead of going with the characteristic values, they're performing lookup based on the SIDs. And moreover, SID generation is not mandatory during the activation process. You can eliminate it. You can choose that SID generation can be done during reporting because HANA is fast. Then you can, so you're eliminating the process of SID generation in the activation process and improving performance. That also is, yeah.